All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're peeling back the layers of a deeply fascinating, highly repetitive, and wildly emotionally charged piece of poetic text. Now, on the surface, sure, it might just look like a standard confession of love. But as we look closer, we're going to uncover the actual mechanics of human consciousness, the creative process, and this incredibly deep spiritual desire. We're going to see exactly how this author bridges the gap between raw human emotion and the divine. Look at how this opening instantly hooks us with a profound mystery. The author addresses a muse who delivered a message. Maybe "me" is a typo for me, or maybe it's a specific name. But the core issue is right there. I don't understand. It's totally incomprehensible. And yet, despite having absolutely no intellectual clarity, it leads straight to a vision of heaven through an image. It's such a fantastic starting point because it drops us right into the middle of this unresolved magnetic pull. So let's look at section 1, the mystery of the message, decoding the initial spark. The really crucial takeaway here is that intellectual understanding just isn't necessary for the author right out of the gate. Have you ever felt drawn to something or someone without logically knowing why? That's exactly what's happening. The visual cue alone, just seeing the image, is powerful enough to completely bypass logic and create an immediate attraction to heaven. The mystery doesn't push the author away. It actually fuels the whole spiritual and emotional journey. And this brilliantly illustrates the duality at play from the very beginning. On one side, you've got the very human frustration of a message that simply cannot be deciphered. But on the other side, you have this undeniable magnetic pull towards something so much higher. That tension between not knowing, yet feeling deeply drawn, sets the stage for literally everything that follows in the author's mind. Moving right along to section 2, Love, Summer, and Desire, the Earthly Muse. If you've read the text, you know this is the anchor. This highly repeated chorus introduces us to raw, earthly desire. It's essentially the rhythmic, beating heart of the author's relentless passion. By explicitly using the word confess, there is this almost religious gravity given to a romantic feeling. It's not just a passing crush, right? It's a profound admission of a force, named Summer, that elevates the author way beyond their normal state. Breaking this down, we can see exactly what summer represents here. It isn't just a season, it is the ultimate catalyst. It acts as a muse. It physically and emotionally elevates the author. But even deeper, the text explicitly states it's summer that made me who I was, meaning this love has actually shaped the author's core identity. And finally, summer isn't some abstract concept. It possesses a distinct soul that the author loves deeply. And the author repeats this exact confession. It's summer that takes me higher, over and over and over. It happens so frequently it almost puts you in a trance. It's a phenomenal literary device because it perfectly mirrors the obsessive, overwhelming, cyclical nature of true romantic devotion. You don't just feel love once, it crashes over you in continuous waves. All right, section 3, the mechanics of creativity, from mind to song. Now, this stanza is wild because it totally shifts the tone. We suddenly move from sweeping romantic poetry to this almost scientific, mechanical explanation of the writer's inner workings. Words like informations, coded, and generate. I mean, it sounds like a computer program, doesn't it? The author is literally stepping back and showing us the exact machinery behind their inspiration. I absolutely love this logical breakdown of the artistic method. Think about it. Step 1, raw data. The experiences with summer are stored or coded in the brain. Step 2, time passes, which actually strengthens and reinforces those memories. Step 3, the author applies the spark of imagination. And finally, step 4, a specific emotional output or sensation is generated. It's a literal blueprint of how a memory becomes art. But this internal cognitive process doesn't just stay trapped in the mind. It ultimately fuels what the author calls their creative drills. They take their talent, their skills, combine it with that generated sensation, and produce real-world expressions of love. All of this incredibly complex inner machinery results in the simple, beautiful act of writing a letter, writing a song. Which brings us to section 4, consciousness as a wave, the journey of the mind. Here, the author expands the scope dramatically. We go from personal creativity to massive universal forces. By invoking that old proverb, time and tide waits for none, we get this sense of dynamic, unstoppable forward momentum. There's real urgency here. The mind has woken up, the wave has started, and there's no pausing it. By explicitly defining consciousness as a wave, we get this super vivid visual. The mind isn't a static object resting in the skull. It's a moving, vibrating energy. And what is this wave doing? It's actively seeking your love, seeking your mind, and attracting your thoughts, attracting your space. The author's very consciousness is reaching out across space to connect with the muse. And this metaphorical wave of consciousness eventually translates into a very physical promise. The author vows, "One day I shall make my way," literally traveling around the ocean to reach the muse's physical space. The commitment is absolute. They're taking only what they have and entirely forgetting my past. It is the ultimate journey of dedication for the sake of loving Summer Soul. And finally, Section 5, the spiritual foundation, anchoring the soul. Interspersed with all those passionate confessions of earthly desire, the author firmly establishes a divine baseline. Absolute truth and ultimate love don't just belong to human romance, they belong to the Holy Spirit. This weaves a thread of sacred reverence throughout the entire piece, elevating it from just a simple love letter to a spiritual decree. Here is that beautiful duality laid out. The entire text is suspended perfectly between these two poles. On one hand, divine spiritual reverence focusing on truth and the Holy Spirit. On the other, deep sensory human desire focusing on summer and personal elevation. And the author doesn't choose between them, right? They exist simultaneously. The earthly love points to the divine, and the divine blesses the earthly love. And this reminds us of the true goal of it all. We've talked about the coded information, the creative drills, the traveling wave of consciousness. But what is it all actually for? Every coded thought serves one sacred purpose. The words I write are for your soul. It completely bypasses the ego and the intellect, going straight to the spiritual core of the beloved. As the text closes out, it hits us with an overwhelming rhythmic repetition of the chorus, 4 consecutive blocks of it just driving the point home. The mystery of the initial message, the traveling wave of consciousness, the mechanics of creativity, and the truth of the Holy Spirit all fuse together into this single, unrelenting declaration of devotion. The explainer comes full circle, anchoring us right back in the intoxicating power of summer. Which leaves us with a pretty compelling question to end our explainer today. We've seen how this author breaks down their inspiration, from an incomprehensible message to a wave of consciousness, all driven by a muse called summer. So I have to ask you, what is the ultimate muse that anchors your own soul? What is the summer in your life that sparks your imagination, reinforces your mind with time, and ultimately takes you higher? Take a moment to really think about that. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and hey, keep seeking your own creative sensation.